Now, open March 19th, 2015. First thing on our agenda is amendment to subdivision regulations. John?
Yeah, this is something that, that Dan, you and I talked about. This was your suggestion, that, it might be a good idea to add to our subdivision rules and regs, a history of amendments. So when someone has a question as far as when something changed, we have a record of it, like we do with the zoning bylaws, where you have the reference to the town meeting when it was accepted. So this is something that was discussed back in January, and now we're simply, this is just a public hearing to officially approve the addition of this. And like I said before, I simply started out with the amendments that have been done since I've been here, approximately a year and a half, because going back before then, I didn't want to go past that because I was afraid that it may be incomplete and something may be missed. So figured it's safer to start out with what's happened since I've been here, since I have a grasp on what's happened since I've been on board.
Well, and again, I think a year and a half is more than enough. And I just think it's, when we're having changes, something I think going forward we should keep up with.
Yep.
And I think it's a lot easier for an engineer or an applicant or somebody to, as basically a quick reference, just to see. I know we get code changes and code books, and we always get a sheet.
Addendums to it.
So I think this would be something that would be really helpful going forward.
This is just to establish it as Appendix B, and
Right.
then anything that happens from here on in will be added to this list that's in the memo tonight. This is just.
So we're not,
starting point.
so this isn't changing anything, this is just we're adding an Appendix B to our current regulations. Anybody in the audience looking for comment, input on adding an Appendix B to our rules and regs? Nope. Questions, comments from the board?
As we discussed, it seems to be a good idea. As we go along, the specific layout of it, we might discuss with John, but.
So you'd like to make a motion that we adopt this? No, this has to go to,
No, it doesn't have to go to town meeting.
no, rules and regs don't. So
So if the board approves it tonight, it can be added in.
make a motion to,
Make a motion that we revise our rules and regulations to include a Appendix B as set forth in the January 15, 2015 memorandum from the Director of Planning and Development.
second it? Seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay. We have Terra Road, Whitaker waiver of frontage, endorsed plan.
That's me.
Step up, state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Glenn Whitaker. I'm here to get the board's approval for an endorsement on frontage, a waiver of frontage plan.
Okay, can we see the plan?
Yeah.
Now, was this something that was approved from the Board of Appeals?
Yes, in 2013, the board did approve it. There were two conditions that had to be met. One was to make sure that it was recorded, and the other was that all the legal fees for advertisement were taken care of. And both conditions have been met.
Yeah, you can stand by it, that's fine.
I know I'm just missing it, but where's the revision date? Three, 2013, revised April 1, 2013, so there should be a revised plan.
That's the plan that my engineer gave me.
Okay, well,
It says there was a revision in April, but the date on it is January of 2014.
Well, right here it says town clerk's, oh, that's for the appeal. Certified.
My understanding is that this was the date that corresponds with the certificate of action. I have that right.
no, see, it says that the plan we approved, waiver of frontage, blah, 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 dated January 3, that's fine. Revised date, April 1st, so in other words, I think we, and I can't remember a couple years later, but we requested some changes on the plan. There should be a newer plan. Is there any way you can get hold of your engineer right now?
Right now, no.
Okay. Do you hear what I'm saying, though? You
Yeah,
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I wasn't aware of any changes that were.
And again, I don't remember 2
Yeah.
years later
Yeah,
what
no.
they were,
And I'm not
but,
sure if I asked you, but could you state your name for the record?
Yeah, it was, go back there.
No, you can, we'll hear it.
Glenn Whitaker.
yeah, see, everything is, this is the plan, but then there was a revision. And I don't know what the revision was, but it was something we wanted revised. So it's probably reasonably important. And I think this is the wrong plan. There should be a more up-to-date one.
If you would like, you can, we'll give you the plan back, you can go make some phone calls, we're gonna be here for a while.
Okay.
See if you can get in touch with your engineer, and,
Is there a record of what those changes would have been? Because my engineer is.
it's not gonna matter. If there's a revised plan, these have to have the revised date.
The date has to match.
We can't
Okay.
have, we can't sign a plan that doesn't have, if the plans were revised, which we know they were, because he has to do it on the Mylar and on,
Yeah, we'll start with the Mylar. All right.
now, did that come with the plan, or did you have that
I have that.
in the packet?
All right, thanks.
All right, so like I said, we'll be here. So
Okay.
if you can come back,
All right, thank you.
all righty. Okay, we had a Form A, Metro Ford, Kia, Route 44, and he asked to be continued. So we are continuing Metro Ford until April 2nd at 6:10. Bassett Knoll, continued public hearing. Bassett Knoll, continued public hearing, is engineers. We have,
Should take no more than 3 minutes, according to this.
okay, well, time's up then. You want to state your name for the record, put up your, I guess, your plans on the easel? Look alive, make it look like you want to be here.
Give me a couple minutes. For the record, name's Scott Henderson with McKenzie Engineering Group, offices in Norwell, Massachusetts, consulting civil engineers for the applicant for this project. Here with us tonight is also Bradley McKenzie, principal at McKenzie Engineering Group, and Nick Harris of Global Construction, representing the applicant. So, since we last met, I believe the end of November, mid-November sometime,
We only have 3 members, right? We can't even open this hearing. We just need a special, this is a special permit too, correct?
Are we doing,
I think we need to do them both, it's under the same. So, are you expecting another member?
Yeah, Chris was supposed to be here. We knew Henry wasn't going to be here, but Chris was supposed to be.
We can't move forward.
all right, well, we can open it, and,
Well, can we defer it till?
yeah, that's
For
what,
another half hour or something?
all right,
See
well,
if
before
Chris
you keep
comes.
going, can you state your name for the record?
I'm sorry, Bradley McKenzie, McKenzie Engineering Group.
Okay.
Just, we need a,
All right, well, I have to open it, and I'll open it, and I will postpone it until later in the meeting.
in the evening. Okay.
We'll take some others.
Is this a public hearing? You're just opening it now?
No, this is continued.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, it's continued. Okay, so, Bassett Knoll, continued public hearing. We are going to table that for, we'll see how long.
You want to have
Anybody here
make a
for,
phone call?
yeah, anybody here for Bassett Knoll?
Would you like me to go try and reach Chris?
Let's see how far we get, and hopefully he shows up. Route,
We do need to pick up on punch.
we have a public hearing for, we can do the next one, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, Route 44, South Street West, gasoline station, site plan, public hearing. Now, this guy looks like he wants to be here.
Now, this is a public hearing,
This is a public
and
hearing,
this is the first,
and this is the first,
so we need to read it.
so we need to read it.
Would you like me to?
I would love for you to read it.
Thank you. What's that? Can I give you, why don't you give it to the chairperson?
Before you read it, I can tell you, if you don't get your microphone closer, you're gonna have somebody giving you dirty looks.
I'll give you the
I haven't
application.
irritated Wayne in a long time, so.
Okay, read the public hearing notice.
In accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Article 13, and Section 6.5C of the Raynham zoning bylaws, the Raynham Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 19th, 2015, at 6:15 PM at Raynham Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider application for site plan approval to allow the demolition and rebuilding of a convenience store, fuel islands, storage tanks, and canopy at 442 New State Highway, corner of South Street West and Route 44. Raynham Assessors Map 14, Lot 15, and a special permit for reduction in the number of required parking spaces. Application submitted by C. Anthony Fruchtel, agent for property owner Colbea Enterprises LLC. Copy of the application and plan are available for viewing at the town clerk's office and planning board office during usual scheduled business hours. Any person wishing to be heard or interested in this submittal should appear at the time and place designated. Raynham Planning Board, Daniel Andre, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All right, just so you're aware, we have one board member that had surgery and he is out. And we have another board member who is here, not physically, but is able to sit. So you only have 3 of us, and we will open this up and you can continue. You do have 3 of the most prompt ones that are always here, so I guess that could be a good thing. So, state your name for the record.
Sure. My name is Tony Fructo. I'm with AUB Engineering. We're out of Pawtucket, Rhode Island. With me is Tom Breckel. He is principal owner of Columbia Enterprises. They're the owner of the subject property. We're talking about the piece of ground that's at 442 New State Highway. That's the corner and Route 44. There's a Shell station there, or I should say there was a Shell station there. It's an abandoned site right now. It's not operating. The existing site, it's about half an acre site. Actually, let's do this. It's a half acre site. You can see it right here. It's on the corner. This is the Papagino's Pizza. They actually own the property on both sides of our property here. There's about a 1,300 square foot building that sits on an angle right here. Old pump islands out front by Route 44. Existing underground storage tanks in this corner. There are some, I think there's a fuel, or not a fuel, a waste oil tank and some other tanks that are buried in the back here. There's some old landscaping fence along this, the property line in the back here. There are currently 3 accesses to the property, one here, and then one along South Street West at that point right there. The proposed revision to the site would be to demolish just about everything that's there, rebuild. We're talking about a larger building. It would be a convenience store, gas station, sits a little bit further back from the road, oriented straight towards Route 44. We're talking about 4 pumps across the front, dive islands. They will be covered by a canopy and a fueling mat. New underground storage tanks. They'd be located very close to where the existing tanks are now. There'd be a dumpster area, the fencing, appropriate fencing, screening area in the back there. And you can see where we're proposing new landscaping, trees, vegetation, grass in this area, and in the front area right, that's up there right now. Also, this would be the new ID sign, very similar to one that had been out there previously. Utility-wise for the site, it's very similar to what's existing there now. Gas line would connect to South Street West. That's where it comes onto the site now. Route 44 would be the source for the water line. We'd be tying into existing water line there. The sewer line actually goes out the back of the property. We tie into an existing sewer line there. And we are pursuing tying into Mass DOT for drainage. Currently, the drainage just leaves the site. There's no control in the drainage. It just flows off 80% of it just flows to the front and is collected by inlets along Route 44. Part of the project will better the environmental quality because that stormwater will be collected. It'll be treated before it's released onto 44. I'm going to call it the scrub vegetation in the back of the property that's going to be taken down. They'll put some nice vegetation up there, big grass around the back that'll be maintained. Obviously, there's no site lighting that's operating out there right now, but what was there will be taken down and replaced with LED lighting appropriate to town standards for lighting the site and for safe operation of vehicles on the site. The signage, again, there will be an ID sign out front where I identified to be in this area right here. There would be signage on the building, also the Seasons brand, which I'll talk about in just a second, and then the Shell, which is their gasoline brand, would be shown on the canopy. And those things would all be per town code. We had gone through a variance process a year ago looking to expand that. Didn't happen, so what we're proposing here is per town code. One thing that we did get about a year ago was variances for the setbacks for the building. So the location you can see, which is within the setback area, was approved by the zoning board. Also, the canopy, which is in the front setback area, was also approved by the zoning board. Just last night, I was at the Conservation Commission. There's a historical wetland area across the parking lot in the Papagenos area back here. So a very small portion of the jurisdictional area falls on our property, and presented that to the Conservation Commission last night, and they gave us a negative determination, just basically saying that our stormwater doesn't get there. There's a whole parking lot with curbing between us. We're not going to affect that at all. So, since we have submitted the plans, John has reviewed them, and we've gotten some comments from him, primarily being a couple of waivers that would be required based on the size of the property, what we'd like to do here. I'm going to call it standard stuff that allow the site to operate efficiently. Should I go through those, John? Is that something we need to talk about?
Well, wait
Or-
until we'll go through those. Let's just finish the overview.
Can I ask him for one little bit of information?
Yep.
Just, Tony, I know that when this came forward a year ago,
Yes.
and we had the pre-application meeting, the
Yes.
police chief had some
Yes.
things that he wanted you to do with help with traffic flow, accessing and egressing to and from the site. So you just tell the
Sure.
board what's been done to help satisfy the police chief?
Yeah, he had some concerns. He had some concerns about this access right here.
What was his concerns?
It had to do with folks exiting that area, just because he thought it was too close to the intersection. And he was really concerned, I think, with people leaving this and trying to make a left out of here, which you'd have to make a real run for it because there's a median in that area there. So he seemed to think that people would still do it. Okay, so at the time we had talked about putting up do not enter signs right here. So essentially, this is an in-only access point right here, and leaving the site would be through this point and this point, this access point and that access point over there.
Well, when asked, what do you have for openings now? It's pretty wide open, isn't it?
It is, yes, and we're not planning on changing the openings. They are still there.
Mass DOT is not gonna make you move away from that intersection, and they're gonna let you have that whole front open?
We have filed with Mass DOT, and their primary concern had to do with the drainage and what we were doing to tie in there, and I don't think we had any comments regarding the openings. And we do know that we need that, physical alteration permit from Mass DOT. We're working on that.
And you're gonna have signs showing that the exit onto 44 is one direction only?
This exit on 44, yes, that's correct.
Is that your only exit onto 44?
No, there's an easement agreement with the Papagenos property so that vehicles can exit onto 44 in this area right here, through that access.
And that's something the police chief was encouraging, traffic exiting onto Route 44 heading towards Taunton. He wanted to see it.
Get as far away from the
Yeah, get as far away from that
intersection
intersection as
Yes.
possible.
Papagenos has a road that runs around out the back or something?
They do, yes.
Does that have anything to do with you?
It does not.
Not on your property?
It is not on our property. Our property line is right here,
Okay.
and that road driveway is back here. It is not on our property.
Now, I kind of have a concern with, if you're gonna be exiting the property here, this is an entrance for Papagenos, so you're gonna be exiting where they're entering. How is that safer than, if you look at this whole berm right, what is this?
This is curbing. There's 2 layers of curbing there with
Is that there
sidewalk.
now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
What is your frontage on 44?
The total distance is 126 feet.
Is that your straight line without the radius at the corner, or?
That is-
Where's 126 is from where to where?
126 is from this point right here to this point right here.
Okay.
So that's the straight line point right there, yes.
All right, can you go back to the original? Do you have the existing building? I'm looking at this sheet here, it says existing gas station.
Yes.
Existing pumps, do you have that on there?
I can put it up. I don't know if I don't think I have it in this separate here. No, I don't have it in that set right there. I can put it up.
If you could, sure. The easement that you have with Papagino's, is that always been with this property, or is that new?
That's always been with the property. And I say always, I do not know the entire history of it, but I do have a copy of it, and it's,
Right, but it was the other gas stations that have been there in the past
that's correct.
have always had the
Yes.
same exits, I'd say, on
Yes.
Route 44.
So you're looking at this building.
Yeah, because looking at that where Papagino's, that's their main, they have one way in and one way out. That's their main area. Looking at it on paper and listening is one thing. For years, I've used, when the gas stations used to be there, they were the last ones that used to actually fill up and not do it yourself. And I've come out of there and it's not a problem, looking at it. And thinking about cars entering Papagino's and you leaving, you would think it'd be a problem, but it must be because this is wide enough. Because I don't ever remember,
It is, yeah, it is, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't ever remember it being an issue, somebody coming in.
I'd like to know how wide that existing driveway is next to you.
Papagino's?
Yeah.
I would have to, it's probably in the neighborhood of 50 feet, and that's the best I could do for you right now. I don't have that on a scale
50
plan.
feet paved on their property?
Yeah. And I don't,
The rest of the building.
and I don't have a scale plan, so that's,
No, I don't, a foot or two off the same.
but I'm sure, yeah. It's probably close to 50 feet.
Okay.
So what do you plan on doing for striping or, like if you look at you've got 4 gas pumps, fuel pumps.
We do. So we have four fueling islands, we have 13 parking spaces across the front, 5 on the side. And one of the waiver requests was for the amount of parking. Given that, a couple factors. One, that the number of parking spaces required is based on gross storage, gross building area. There is a 1,200 square foot building in the basement in the building, and that's just for storage and office, and it's not gonna generate any traffic. The second would be because it's a gas station, there are by default 8 built-in parking stalls at the pumps, and I'm not saying people pull in and park there, we realize that, but folks double up. If you get gas, generally speaking, they don't then move their car if they're gonna go in and grab something. And the third thing is, we do have area in the front here that we're gonna call it reserved area, that if in the future there is a problem with parking, that could be paved, converted into 5 parking spaces.
Where is the property line?
The property line is right here.
All right, so you've got grass out on the,
Yeah, it's that, there's a large island area there now for the, Mass DOT has their control box and signal poles and stuff.
okay.
You have 25 feet to the edge from the front. I'm assuming that is a car, like bollard, bumper. You have 25 feet from there to your street line or your property line.
Yes.
That's a little more than one vehicle for queuing. So if you have, you said people are gonna pull up, pump gas, run in the store, grab a coffee or something, you only have room for one car Do you have,
What do you do with a trailer?
do you have, showing vehicles, plan showing vehicles stacked?
I didn't bring a plan showing vehicles stacked. We can certainly put that together if you want to see something there. I would say that probably anybody that's trying to get in there with a trailer would have to come in off of South Street, pull in this direction. We recognize that that site, that's tight through there.
Is this gonna have diesel?
Yes, but it will not be, it will be car diesel. It won't be equipped to fuel large trucks.
And how do you do that?
Well, the large trucks have a larger nozzle, and it's like a high volume pump.
If you're 5 cents cheaper on diesel, I'm gonna pull in there with my truck, how are you gonna stop me? Just 'cause
We can't stop anybody. Absolutely not, but go ahead.
Tom Breckel, one of the owners.
Yes.
We're not encouraging it, you're right, you can't stop it. I've done it with tractor trailer going. We do own over 100 locations, so a lot of times when we do build these, we look at the demographic, the area, and see what will work and what won't work. We're not gonna put the long extensions on. If a guy ever pulled in with a truck that's pumping 50 to 100 gallons of diesel fuel, it'll only take him one time, he'll never come back, because, you know, they're not gonna change side to side, they're not gonna go around, move to the other island. So we don't encourage that. Will it ever happen? It could, but we're not gonna, you'd ever see like on the side of the dispensers, you have the long pole. We're not gonna put any of that there, so. And most trucks, if they do come in, they usually try to get to an outside island, because they're not looking for congestion in their
Is that where you're
problems
gonna put your
either.
diesel?
Excuse me?
Is that where you're gonna locate your diesel?
Usually we put them on all 4 islands because of convenience for, there's a lot of diesel vehicles out there now, and it seems like it's getting more and more, so we usually put all 4 islands with diesel.
Yeah, do they have the same situation with the S across Route 44, near the Friendly side? Because that's.
They don't have diesel.
They don't have diesel.
And that's why I asked, because if you have diesel, the only other station that has diesel is across from Benny's. I believe that has diesel.
Yep.
Uh,
Bigger site.
Well, biggest site, but the elevation difference, I know I've been through there, and I've seen people come in with motorhomes, and they're dragging their fanny all the way out because of the grade difference. The mufflers are dragging, and, you know, they're stopped on Route 44 and to go slow, so you have all those people rushing to, probably coming out of Globe Liquors, rushing to get by, and it's just, you know, it's, and if it's 5 cents cheaper, trust me, somebody's gonna try to squeeze in there. Having all those, well, I guess there's just no way of turning those pumps so on an angle, because you are letting, people are gonna be able to come in from Route 44 if they're heading west. And really, that's only one way, so that's the only way they can come in. And then they're gonna be able to come in off of South Street. I'll get in a minute, okay? I got a variance to move the building back. I got a variance for parking in the front. The other thing too would be something that I would absolutely make sure is part of this process, is that island out in that grass area, you're not gonna have vendors out there selling shirts or hats or.
Not any of our locations, no.
It's, you know, it's always been that for years. Every time the Patriots, you know, win a Super Bowl or championship, you see somebody out there with a van, and you'll rarely have problems
Nah, we don't encourage
with,
any of that.
with vehicles.
Can I just explain a couple of things? First of all,
Yep.
Tom Breckel, like I said, it's a family business. It's myself and my 2 brother-in-laws. And we're pretty proud of our business. My father-in-law started in 1960. And we grew and we grew and we grew. Not because we're cutting corners, because we want to
Can you leave that there while he's
Sure.
Why
talking?
don't you pull,
Yeah, I think Tom wants to, I'm
And
gonna pull some other.
over the
Oh,
years,
he's got some other stuff.
we had some learning curves and everything, we've learned, and I'm not saying we're the best in the industry, but we're trying to be. And either or. And over the years, like I said, we've learned. Do we want vendors out in our parking lot? Absolutely not. First of all, we don't want the liability of it, We're trying to have a real nice, friendly atmosphere. If there's one more picture in the stores, what we're doing in the stores, everything is just class, and this is the way to go. New England's just starting to come there. You go down south and you pull into a gas station down south. I mean, people do all their shopping down there. People have dinners in there. New England is just starting to learn this technique, and we want to be one of the first ones. We all know Cumberland Farms. They're spending a ton of money in New England right now, and they have a beautiful place. Well, if we don't stay up with them, we're not going to grow any bigger, and we're not going to get any better. And this is what the inside of our stores all look like.
Well, see, that's my concern, because I know what the new and modern stores are looking like, and they're beautiful, which is encouraging a lot more traffic. You pull up, it's slash a convenience store plus a gas station.
It's a possibility.
Well, it's reality. It's not a possibility. It is.
There's only so much, and you can quote me on this, there's only so much business you can do at a location. And I know
Exactly. We say it all the time.
And
The
first
layout
month
of
or
the
two,
layout of the property
this
is.
place might be crazy the first month or two, because people are gonna wanna know, wow, hasn't been a gas station there in over 15 years. I wanna go check it out and see what it looks like. But then it just dies right back down to, if you were pumping, say, 150,000 gallons, then all of a sudden within 6 months, or it could be less, now you're back down to it's a 90,000 gallon station.
The novelty wears off.
The
after a
novelty
while.
wears off. But you just hope you can continue keeping those friendly customers, the loyal customers, and you can continue that gallons that we estimate that this will do to generate enough money to keep it running and not having an abandoned gas station again. So, we did the economics and everything of this location, and we feel it'll work the way we have it planned.
Well, it's a perfect location.
There's a lot of competitors
I'm
on the
just a
street,
little,
too.
right, and I'm just a little concerned of the spacing that we have
Yeah, I think the site is likely
for, it's a legit concern. We have 25 feet. We have somebody coming in, we have somebody coming this way, we're providing diesel. I would definitely like to see some type of vehicle traffic.
Okay.
I think,
Some movements or some vehicles at the pumps kind of thing, or?
yeah,
Okay.
because, it's just like saying, well, we have an easement across Papagino's, and when you say it and look on a plan, if I didn't know the site, that would be a major concern, because they're coming in and you're going out. We made that a one-way for a reason. And by you having an easement over there, you're making it a two-way. I've seen it for years and years, and it's never been a problem, but if I didn't see it for years and years, I'd say there's no
If it doesn't
way.
work, we'll just take it off the, docket, and we just won't build there. I don't know. We think it'll work, but you guys,
Yeah, that was
let me
something
know.
that the police chief brought up as a concern when they came forward last year, so that was something that they were trying to do to, appease the police department in there.
Well, but he said that easement was already in there. That
Right.
wasn't-
Right.
That
Yeah,
wasn't
it's-
something that they
and
just
is pretty-
made.
That's a wide
Oh,
easement.
no, I know, that's why I said, if I
And-
didn't know it or see it and have driven through there, I would say that would be a concern, and that's why I'm saying, if you show vehicles.
And I respect that.
if
I
you
mean,
show
we don't want
vehicles-
problems, but like I said, it's like having, if it had a drive-through in a Dunkin' Donuts, they want, at least 10 car queuing. So, you start having 15 to 20 cars and you're out on the street, that doesn't work. That's why we need to try to entertain something like that. But people aren't gonna go to a place after a while when it's congested. They're just not going to. There's too many other places they can go to. People don't like waiting in lines for more than 2 people, you know that. So, like I said, I think once, and John said, a novelty wears off. In the beginning, I hope it is busy. I don't wanna see accidents, I don't wanna see a safety concern, but I think it all flows after a while, it all generates, and it works, because, it's just how people are. People aren't gonna wait for 3 or 4 cars to get gas. Not when you can go across the street or down the street and pay maybe 3 cents a gallon less.
in general, in our area, is Shell less than Hess or
What
price-wise?
No. It's always 3 or 4 cents higher, 2 cents higher.
Now, what does?
I'm gonna tell you why. National brand, unbranded. That's biggest difference right there.
So you own this property, and
Yes.
you're also gonna be the owners of the.
Owner and operator. We don't lease this out. And this image that we have, this season image, is a new image we started about 3, 4 years ago. And this, if this goes, this would probably be the 15th, I think around 15th, about the 15th one we've had. Why don't you pull the other one? I might even look better. We did this design.
I can follow, so.
Wait a minute.
That's on, designed for it, and it's nice and clean looking, it's not too,
Industrial.
it's not the typical Shell food mart that everybody was used to.
Now, is this
years
the
ago.
average size of your other ones, or do you fit the piece of property that you're?
This is actually a lot smaller than our other ones. How many
Because it's
square
almost
feet is this?
3,000 square feet.
Yeah,
What's it,
3,000.
about 3? Yeah, this is probably about, usually 38, about 3,800 square feet. We have them up to 42. But again, I don't think
Rick,
having 5,000 candy bars in there versus 4,000 candy bars is gonna generate any more people in and out. You know what I mean? In other words, I don't know the size
Well,
of.
like you said, you go out other parts of the country and you go in these newer type of stations, and it's not just candy bars, there's a lot of stuff in there. There's
Right, and-
milk, and if you're carrying a
this-
gallon of milk, then obviously you want,
Oh, we have them. We have them with
You
Mary
want the
Lou's, Mary Lou
business.
Donuts. We have them with Dunkin' Donuts, Honeydew Donuts. We have them with tables with lottery sitting there, but it depends on the location.
Right.
Like I said, we operate it, so we know what should go in there, what shouldn't go in there.
yes, sir, could you state your name for the record?
Joseph Chamberlain, I have no dog in this fight whatsoever, but as a long-time tractor-trailer driver and a present driver of a 38-foot diesel pusher motorhome pulling a trailer, I would never go to a place like this. Access is far more important than price. We have guides, we have indexes, we have apps on our smartphones that indicate things that are big vehicle friendly. No chance. I take one look at a place like this, they'll never get tractor trailers in there. They'll never get some guy with a giant tractor trailer, a giant pickup truck with a fifth-wheel trailer. You don't want to get jammed into a place like this. We go to the truck stops. We go to the places that are big vehicle friendly.
What-
No way would we go into a place like that.
What type of vehicle do you drive?
38-foot diesel pusher motorhome with a car trailer behind it, okay? You're.
So you're a, I guess, a professional big rig driver.
Big rig of two different kinds, and they are.
You're not
two
the
different
type of,
kinds.
you're not the type of person I'm worried about.
Oh, okay.
The type of person I'm worried about is the person who travels and they go to a Dunkin' Donuts and they save their cup from Raynham all the way to Florida so they can get a free cup. And they're gonna, if they can get 5 cents off or 3 cents off a gallon, they're gonna do it. And if they're driving a motorhome as a recreational, they're not gonna have the experience that you would have, and you would be going to those gas stations that you know.
But even the occasional drivers of motorhomes, you want room. You don't want to try to get into some tight place, believe me.
I'll back him.
Thank you, I'm sure you will. Thank you
That's
for
my
your,
F250.
thank you for your input.
That's my F-250 out there, I'm on my third fifth wheel, and I'm gonna be picking it up in the beginning of May, if I can get my other one out, because there's about 10 feet of snow in front of it. They say it's gonna be done in the middle of
Well,
April.
if you have an F-250,
But I'll
I'll
tell you
guarantee
what.
that F-250s will be pulling into this station because
Oh, yeah, why wouldn't they?
because there's nobody that has diesel.
Why wouldn't
at
they?
this end,
F-250
if
is,
you-
yeah,
if
but
you-
not with a
can you
fifth
stop
wheel on the
interrupting me,
back.
please?
Yeah.
If you go to Hess, across from Benny's, if you have a vehicle that you need diesel, 9 out of 10 times, you're not gonna go there because of the elevation. And you pull up and you drag, and if you have more than a pickup truck, it's a nuisance. So there's no other place on 44 unless you go further east to Joe's Gas, the other on Route 44 Gas. And, you know, we have, they're bigger, obviously they're bigger facilities. People can pull around with big rigs or fifth wheels or what have you. Right, questions, concerns?
How many parking spaces do you have to have?
We're required to have 25 parking spaces, and we have 18. And we can add 5 more if, you know, if it shows in the future that it would be required.
Where are you gonna put your snow?
We have an area designated in the front. That was actually brought up last year when we went to the zoning board. So there was an area, we can push snow to the back here. We can push snow to the side over here. We have an area designated up front here that can have snow that can only be so high.
Can
given
you
the
hold,
site
can you
distance.
hold that thought? We have
Oh.
to change tapes. This isn't John's regular job, so it's taking a little. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. We have an area on the side here, we can push snow. We have an area on the side of the building over here, we can push snow. We have an area in the front that's designated for snow. There's a maximum height that they can put on that. This was discussed last year when we were at the zoning board. When we've added a note, and it's kind of typical, we've seen it, that, you know, snow gets to the point where it can't be stored where it's supposed to be stored. It gets hauled off site. I know, where do you go with that after the year we had, but that's, you know, that was the discussion that was had last year, so it has been thought about.
You, there's a sidewalk and you're taking that out and putting in a new sidewalk?
Along the front?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a matter of, if you're gonna build a new store and put new asphalt and curbing and give it a nice new look, they wanna replace the sidewalk, give it a nice new look there also.
But it's not connecting to any other sidewalks anywhere?
I mean, there's a sidewalk around the front here that's, that Mass DOT installed, and that connects to a sidewalk over here. I don't believe there's a sidewalk on the other side of Papagino's, so that's correct.
Okay.
So is that sidewalk in the front, is that Mass DOT?
This right
Yeah.
here, yes.
I almost think it'd be better if that was gone.
So the whole thing will be open?
Why not? Wouldn't that give you a little easier positioning when you're coming off of 44? If I wanna go to pump 3, I'm not pulling.
It would, I'm pretty sure that Mass DOT would not approve that. Yeah. To have a 100-foot.
But he's right, if we could eliminate.
Wow, yeah, it would. But then what we're also
I mean, that's
doing-
common sense, it is, you know.
It is, yes. And I'm agreeing with you. I'm sure.
The only problem that I'm sure people, if they came off of South Street West, pulled into the pump number 2 or in the middle, they're not gonna be heading out to the Papagino's exit, they're gonna be heading straight and coming onto 44, so it might, I'm not a traffic expert, but it just looks.
Route 44, you show it, it's a divided highway for a ways. How far does that go?
I believe to about this point right here.
Okay.
Right where this striping, where you see the striping starts, is where the median ends. About right in there. And I could add that in there to be more clear.
Through no fault of yours, people are gonna pull into that easement area and then wanna get across the street and go east.
Not sure how you,
Well, I was gonna make the comment, you had mentioned earlier that the police chief was concerned people were gonna come out and try to jump.
like some sort of dive this way is what he was worried
You
about.
really seem pretty surprised that anybody, you know, wanting to do that. My suggestion is, you should go on that one little section, some during the day, especially lunchtime, and watch what people do there. Right, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty tight with plazas across the street, which are all existing. We're pretty, their layouts, and their parking, and the only time we get to suggest improvements on those, just like yourself, is when they redo something with the building.
Right.
So 44 is getting more and more congested. Do we want this corner? I think it's beautiful. I think what you're gonna do is beautiful. We just have to-
I think
we just have to make
great
sure that
plans,
it's.
great ideas. I just wish you had another 25 feet in each direction.
Did you want, when the stations were there in the past, you said you've owned this piece of property, did you run those, or before, or did you have?
No. When we purchased quite a few Shell stations at one time, this was in the mix, and there was another operator there, but it just wasn't gonna fly our name on it, because it just wasn't run the way we'd want it run. So we've been kicking this around for, well, with you, since you've been here, right?
About a year and a half.
And we even inquired before that a few years ago.
John's review, where's, he's doing,
What happened was, when they submitted the application a few weeks ago, I did my review, and then I consulted with Steve Ventresca. And not wanting to overlap and be redundant, I had a phone conversation with Tony, and, suggested things that he'd need to request waivers from.
Yep.
Things he needed to add to the site plans, and so he agreed to do it, and, but he didn't submit that to Niche Engineering until yesterday.
Well, yeah, my understanding was we needed it for the meeting.
Right.
This evening, so I got it
Right.
ready, and then we talked yesterday, and you said. Hey,
Right,
get
so
it
that
over.
was something where,
yeah, all right, that's fine. Do you have waiver requests, what you're gonna be looking for? I would just like to try to,
Sure. Yeah.
we're gonna be, Chris was gonna have to read the minutes of the meeting to vote on to vote on it.
John, do you have that?
So,
the packet that I gave you?
I would like to give you as much
actually-
information
did you hand that to
tonight
Dan?
to leave with, so when you do leave and come back, you'll have hopefully some answers. and-
You want to hand that to me, but I said hand it
Yes.
to the chairperson.
Yeah, I believe there's a.
Oh.
He handed you a packet, Dan?
Yeah, I handed it over to Burke. It's called moving the buck down the line now.
We were all given a project narrative, page 1 and 3.
From,
From whomever.
Yes, sir. There's a letter in there. Not that one, the next one, is requesting the waivers. And those were recommended, but
Yeah, like I said, I haven't had a chance to look at these.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't had a chance to review these yet. I will, coming out of this meeting.
Where's the sign going?
the ID sign will go right here. It's
Okay.
very, very close to where the existing ID
All right.
sign is, or frame of the
What,
existing.
a size of sign? Do you need a variance?
No, sir, we do not.
No, not from the freestanding, Burke. It was just for the lettering on the facade of the building.
Okay, the freestanding though is within our current zoning?
It is, yes.
All right, I wasn't sure if
Yes.
it was bigger than now allowed, and because it hasn't been used in more than a year, you would have lost your grandfathering?
No, I
Okay,
think the freestanding sign that we were proposing had always been in compliance with your ordinance.
okay.
The building sign was the one that we were asking for variance on. Was not-
going through the variance requests, really the only two that I see, and I'll read them out, so Burke and Russ, we can talk about it. Section 5.6.2, requiring wheel stops for parking stalls abutting sidewalks. All sidewalks have a 6-inch grade change protecting pedestrians. So you have a 6-inch, does that have,
Yeah, there's a-
like, sharp objects that the tires are gonna blow out when they fly over that and go crashing into the window, or is that?
It's a curve, no, it's
It's a
just
6-inch
it's a
curb,
6-inch
so-
curve, yeah.
I can have a little Honda Accord and hit a 6-inch curb, and I'm gonna be flying into the building, aren't I?
Well, but wheel stops are the same as the 6-inch curb.
Is there any, can we do bollards? Do you have any nice decorative bollards that you can put in front there?
It's-
I'm sure you must have that in other buildings. There's gotta be, again, you gotta remember, where you're asking, let me go to the next one.
I will say, people in Taunton and Raynham seem to have a propensity for driving into stores.
Let me,
Tom, would you have a problem again?
well, it's not, but I don't even need an answer, because
Okay.
I'm just reading these and giving you
Thank you.
our input at this point, so you can leave. And section 5.7.3, requiring 40 feet in depth between the property line and the beginning of any parking areas, turning areas, and stacking lanes. Now, that one there, if we weren't asking for the waiver, I don't think we would be having all this discussion on just what we're talking about. I mean, that's the problem, is we don't have the 40 feet. So you're asking for a waiver, so I do think that, maybe you can tell us, with less space, is that gonna, it's not gonna improve the situation?
Yeah, I think I can safely say that removing maneuvering area on the site right now won't allow it to function at all, like to a point that it won't be viable to operate. And that's why we asked for that waiver, to try and shrink down movement areas, even, getting to these parking spaces, or getting to these parking spaces, or shrinking these, the waiver requesting, or that the access is be greater than 25 feet. If that gets shrunk down, and all that does is tighten up the site.
I would like to see the access wider.
Okay.
On a space that's tighter inside, I think the access, if you can get the state to let you go wider, I would even give myself, I'd give a waiver on making it even bigger. That 25 feet on something that is tighter, I think the space needs to be wider. But again, we don't regulate if you can get it to be wider,
Okay.
I think we would be giving you a waiver for that requirement. So, anytime you're restricting movement, it's even more reason for somebody to make a mistake and hit the gas instead of hitting the brake. So maybe you can look at decorative bollards with lights. They got some fancy, I mean, it's not like it's a big deal for money-wise, so I think, in the scheme, the color scheme that you have, I would like to see, you don't need bumpers, but I would like to see bollards in the front of the building.
You have a bollard detail on page SD2. Where were you going to put bollards anyway?
In the rear of the trash corral,
For who? Who's that gonna help?
so that when they throw the.
So that's for the
down,
dumpster, not to
doesn't-
break the fence.
Doesn't run it through, yeah.
That's good for the owner, so he doesn't have to keep replacing the fence. I just wanna protect people that are walking, so we're not replacing
I'm
legs
sure
and
they don't want
limbs
anybody
and.
hitting their bill, that's happened, right, Tom? Okay, well, we got it, yeah.
Just a couple of weeks ago in the news, I saw some old guy, and I should probably not say old guy.
Hey.
I'm sorry. A gentleman, smashed over a gas pump, and you probably know better than anybody, and wound up in the front of the store, and flames are going everywhere, and
Many of them.
I just see, things like that can happen, even putting bollards there can happen, but
Slows them down.
I think if somebody hits a bollard, and somebody's walking in front of it, hopefully the store's busy, hope you have people constantly. In this type of store, there's no reason why you shouldn't. I think they're much nicer than everything that we've had in the past.
Okay.
It's just, how do we make that safe for everybody? So I think, you know, if we get the bollards, if we can have, show some queuing, I know it's not a drive-up window, but show some driving in, driving out. And I would think that if you have a traffic, I know you're asking for a waiver for a traffic impact study, and I don't see a problem with that myself, but I would like to see some type of traffic on the piece of property.
Movements on
I
site?
don't
or-
care what we already know what's outside.
Okay.
Let's show some movement.
Sure.
And then, when you're putting these things on the computer and things aren't happening right, because I know the software that you can put this in for having the flow, and the software's gonna tell you, okay, well, boom, you're gonna hit something, then maybe that's something to go back to the state and say, hey, this is why we need it to be 35 feet, not 25 feet, because it works better. And here's the reason why it works better. Here's our illustration. And like I said,
Okay.
I think this board will give you the waiver on the
The full study?
opening up from 25 feet,
Oh, okay.
because it's already existing, so it's already bigger. Anything else, Rick?
Your ingress and egress onto 44, you think that, where are you with Mass DOT? You've talked to them and they like what they've seen, supposedly?
Yeah, we filed with them. The biggest holdup with them is drainage. They require a rather large compilation of what we're doing drainage-wise to allow you to tie into their drainage system. So that was kind of the biggest holdup with them. I don't believe they had, the other was a question of this easement, which we do have. I don't believe there was any issue with the geometry of the accesses, other than just the fact that there's an easement, you know, what does it say, what's the grant kind of thing, which we're comfortable with.
Can we get a couple of no left turns out in the middle of the road there?
On the
On the
sidewalk?
That would be
Up to DOT?
up to DOT, but we can ask.
You might wanna think about that. So if I'm driving out, I'm looking across. How about people coming west to east? Well, I guess they're not gonna see it, because the sign's gonna be sideways.
But you're talking something that somebody would see coming out of here. We can certainly ask that, sure.
Put them on our own property. I don't,
Yeah.
you know, you'd have
Well,
to-
yeah, I think, I haven't looked at
DOT
signage,
would
but
need to-
I think you're gonna
Yeah, I
have
don't-
it.
Yeah, I don't think that they're gonna want, the state's gonna let you go out there and start poking a hole in the middle of the island, you know, and having something obstructing. But,
Well, at Rockland Trust, there used to be a sign over on the other side, on Shaw's Plaza side.
Yeah,
It isn't there anymore.
we've chased them.
And you can't give tickets out, I understand, unless you have signs both here and over there telling people they can't do it.
The DOT may do it. We have two occasions where there's an island in the front, and people gotta go to the right a little bit to make that left, and they put it right there. People observe it, yeah, it's anything, but I have seen it done, so we can entertain that, give it to
Sure.
the DOT, let them see what they want to do.
You know, that's a good idea. Is there a way,
You don't
I
point
don't-
that thing at me.
I don't usually use this, it's deadly. Is there a way that this can get blocked, have this walk come down further here, and take it from this point down to here and open it up? Do you know what I'm saying? So you're having say you're still gonna have, I don't know,
Just bring it down.
moving it down further,
A little bit farther away from the intersection.
and I think the police chief is gonna, I know,
PAP,
right, but if we have police chief concerned about them coming out, I think you're gonna be moving your traffic coming into the facility closer to the center, which you might get more people to be able to go to the left.
there's your, get rid of that sidewalk, and there's your width. if you
It
need
will,
to.
it will open up in front of the pumps.
So, you know, like you said, they're only concerned about the drainage. Well, I really, you know, it's been draining, I don't know where the heck's been draining all these years, I don't really care about the drainage. I think it's more important to worry about the flow that's gonna happen there. We don't have any control over it, though, you do. Hopefully, you can go there and you can show some.
Well, if you have a letter from the police chief and a letter from the planning board asking you to move that over, that might help somewhat with DOT.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
we would give you a letter, John can put something together. The police chief, he's already said had his concern, so ask him for a letter.
Yeah, he would love to move that traffic away from that corner.
And if you can just extend this, you know, again, I don't wanna tell you to extend it 10 feet, it's up to you, you gotta put it on
Believe it or
your
not, we
CAD.
talked about that, but we were more curious if the DOT would even entertain
Yeah.
something like that, but.
All I'm
now
doing
we
is
get some-
asking.
You get a letter and the chief and yourself, now it gives us a little bit more to
Exactly.
go in there. It's not like us just saying, we wanna open up a curb cut, cause you know
Right.
how they are with curb
Right.
cuts.
And even, you're gonna, even if you have to maintain the same width curb cut, it's just we're moving it down another 5 feet.
Sign it over. Okay.
Anything we can get, I think, is gonna be beneficial to move things closer to the center.
We did talk about that.
Yeah.
Amy and I were out there.
Oh, okay.
So what I'll do is I'll, in the next day or two, I'll reach out to the police chief, tell him what we discussed, and maybe I could write a letter from the planning board and include him in that letter.
Yeah.
And either give it to you, or if you can tell me your contact person at Mass DOT, I can address it directly to them and CC you on it.
Okay.
Either-
On this entrance coming out here, and I know this isn't your property, so for striping or doing any lines, it's gonna be probably an issue. But how are you gonna tell people to come this way?
You're gonna have to tell them it's open. They'll go for it.
We're not forcing them, we're encouraging them.
Are you gonna allow people, which I'm sure you are, you're gonna allow people to come this way too?
If the,
Come in?
No.
Exit.
If I come from South Street and I park
Well,
here.
no, that was one of the chief didn't want us to exit there if possible. Well, take a right, he didn't mind, he really didn't like that because it's so, you know,
Well, that's
it turns
why-
green and.
Right, well, that's
people are
why I'm
trying to-
saying, how are you gonna keep people from exiting here? You're really not.
Well, you can't, and if a car is aimed towards Route 44, sitting with the pumps, they're sure not gonna try backing up and getting back onto South Street. At least most people won't.
Okay, so so then this is an entrance and an exit.
Yeah.
No left turn.
yeah, no left turn coming out of there.
That
Right.
was his big
Right turn
Yeah,
only
you
exiting.
know, Police chief would,
Which you can't turn left anyway, because you're going against the traffic.
Right.
yeah. Then we're back to the police chief worried about people taking the left out of there. You can't
Trust me.
design for that, to be honest with you.
Right,
So,
and I'm fully aware, you can't
Yeah.
design for stupidness, but it happens.
Yeah.
And on Route 44, it happens a lot.
Okay.
Well, those are my few comments. I think if you show some vehicles, I think you'll be able to come up with the computer will come up with an idea of,
What does the town have for cameras at that intersection?
well, I'm sure the chief already asked you to put cameras there, didn't he?
No, at the intersection.
Wait, we're
Well,
talking about two different things here, to be honest.
I'm talking about the possibility of your sign at the top having a camera that goes out to show the intersection, which is hooked into the police, so when there are accidents at the intersection, they'll know about it right away.
The town wants to put it in, fine. We'll give them access to something we would.
Well,
I know the police chief has already said he would like them to do that for around the building, and
Yeah.
any new business for around the building, so I can ask him about the.
well, he also, but for around the building,
Yep.
but when the police chief voiced his concerns to me, he wanted all commercial buildings coming forward to planning board to have cameras that the police department can
Right.
tap into.
Right.
So if it's, and I'm sure those are widespread lenses that, so if they see a car, I mean, look at all the trials you see on TV. You see this guy driving a car and the camera is at the front of the store, so I'm sure that's probably what he's looking at.
Right, he wasn't necessarily talking about something on the sign that catches the intersection,
Which is,
Because the
Fantastic.
intersection at Orchard Street and 44, they've got cameras, so when there's an accident, they already know about it before anybody calls them in.
right.
I'm sure the
I
police
think
chief,
they're on the water tower.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure the chief wouldn't object to that.
No, their sign would, I think, would be a good place.
Again, similar to the other cameras around the building that they can tap into.
Yeah.
And when you come into a town asking for waivers, it's nice to give a little too.
Those cameras
I
are
agree,
cheap,
Mr.
too.
Chairman. I sat where you sat for 10 years on board, so
Yeah?
I know exactly what I'm doing.
Well, 90% of what I'm doing is watching out for people that are gonna be using your piece of property.
And I agree.
The other 10% is trying to get the police chief some cameras. Okay, so we have the application, or we have all the paperwork that came with this. We have the plans. This is staying with us, correct? This is everything that you,
Right, yeah,
Is
that'll
here?
stay with us, yeah. And I'll take a look at it and take a look at documentation.
you have our comments up to this point. I think if you, take those into consideration.
Yes, sir.
Along with, our design engineer, his comments and concerns.
Yep.
And when would you like to come back?
Our next meeting is April 2nd.
April 2nd.
That's 2 weeks.
Yeah, can I suggest, Tom, if you're okay with this, that 2 weeks, we're not gonna get anything into Mass DOT back in 2 weeks, so.
We might be in the same spot we're in right now.
Yeah, would it be good?
Except saying we did put everything in, but we couldn't get an answer,
Good to move it a month?
probably a month.
So that's April
Especially, you're
16th.
gonna get your letters together, the time they get them,
Right.
review them.
And for us to get 'em.
Yeah,
I mean, just
So-
being realistic.
yeah.
We can put 'em on, we can put you on for April 16th.
Listen, Jet playing
What other locations do you have near here?
that. Excuse me?
What locations do you have near here?
Oh, boy.
Oh, this is you, man.
I know, I can't think of
There's one up in Randolph, isn't there?
Randolph.
I know they did one in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, near where I live, and it's gorgeous.
Are you looking for the seasons or just shall?
Either.
You know, we have the Randolph, Lexington, Concord, we've put a few, but I don't know right around
Bristol.
here.
Nothing, yeah.
Yeah, 40.
Well, and again, they're all
East
gonna be,
Providence,
they're
East
all gonna be
Providence.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
subject to the piece of property that they're sitting on too. All right, I'm gonna continue this public hearing until April 16th at 6:15.
Thank you for your time.
Great,
All right.
thank you. Appreciate it.
And I'll be in
Thank
touch
you.
with you about those other
That'd be
things,
great.
and Neat should be getting a report probably by sometime next week, so.
Okay.
Let me
We'll be moving on from there, so thanks.
Thanks, yeah.
Excellent, have a good weekend. Dan, I snuck downstairs and I called Chris. He just had eye surgery. That's why he's not here tonight.
Well, it would've been nice to know.
And I asked him about 2 weeks from now, and he's not sure about that yet.
Did you get that second signature on the continuance?
I did. I have it.
We haven't had a meeting since.
Yeah, please, don't even go there, that's not gonna do any good. If we have to move forward, so we need 4 members. If Henry's out with surgery, how can we do this legally?
Well, and I think we're going to lose a member in a little over a month.
Which is Henry.
Yes.
So I'm not even sure if Henry's gonna be coming back.
He's not right.
No.
Anybody?
Yeah. But so we can, you know.
You may have 4 members in 2 weeks, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Chris is gonna have to,
He's not gonna be, I know he was talking about potentially recusing himself, but I don't know if he'll be able to.
well, and I already said that he doesn't have to, because it's not
Right, I
even
don't
that
think so either.
parcel.
Right.
All right, well, we have no choice. Okay, I am opening up Bassett Knoll Estates continued public hearing. And you would like to continue, which we have to continue, 2 weeks, April 2nd.
Okay.
Time, Dan?
Everybody's gonna be here, at least, and we'll, if Chris has one eye, we'll make sure he's here.
Just one quick question, Dan.
Yes.
When last time I met with you, you mentioned something about some off-site improvements. Is there a way that we can get together with John and talk about what that might occur or involve?
I made a phone call to Ed just to, because I haven't seen anything, because I've been, since our last discussion, I've been just reviewing and going back to see so we can get this thing moving. And he's had a crazy winter, so he's had a few days. But I do plan on getting together with him
Okay.
from now, hopefully with the next week.
In your,
And-
in your packet tonight, Dan, Maureen made copies of an email that came from Ed back a couple months ago. Basically, and there's a summary of what he thinks should be done to Locust Street.
Yeah, no, I
but
saw
cost.
that,
Okay.
but that doesn't give me enough to,
Right.
or give the board enough to decide what else needs to be done. Just so you know, and the board knows, we have other subdivisions in the past. One subdivision, we have $11,574 in our account for Locust Street improvements, dedicated Locust Street improvements. We have $91,580 dedicated for Locust Street improvements. So, we have over $100,000 dedicated for Locust Street improvements. What I wanna make sure is, what more do we need? 100,000 sounds like a lot of money. It's not, and you know that. You have a 70-lot subdivision. You're gonna have a lot of kids. They can walk to school. The bridge has, the sidewalks all along the other side. You know, we're gonna have sidewalks from there up. So those are things that we're gonna discuss to make sure that we can, I don't want the money just sitting in an account, and a lot of times, we can't expect one subdivision to fund improvements for the entire street, so that's why we do it this way. This is the last subdivision, 70 lots, you're the largest one, and it's the last one, so now's our chance to improve Locust Street for everybody that's on there, plus everybody that you're bringing to Raynham that's gonna live in there.
Can I ask how large the $90,000 contribution project was? How many lots that was? Was that one that was done?
That was from Whipple Estates.
Yes.
However, that was, believe when we talked about that and we looked at the condition of approval, there was some formula that figured out how
It was
much
per
per
lot.
lot. And that was done under a previous planning board.
So there was some monetary amount per lot that was.
Right. Bottom line is, it's a dollar amount that goes, you can take a dollar amount, divide it up by how many lots you have, and that's what, you know, that's an easy way of looking at it, but I think, you know, we have to look at what it's gonna be to do what needs to be done for Locust Street. We're already off to a good start, we have $100,000, like I told you, it's not gonna be all your responsibility, we have the money there, sitting there, it needs to be done. And That's why I had John pull this information, because it's been sitting there for quite some time, and this is our final shot to get it done and make sure it's done right. So with that said, I will talk to Ed, and if there's anything that needs to be discussed between now and then John will be in touch with you,
Touch with me? Okay.
or the engineer or whatever.
Yeah, probably.
So, we're gonna continue this until, did I already continue it?
The second.
April 2nd, and we're gonna put you down for the same time that you,
6:12?
what did I just continue to 6:10? Oh, the Form A.
And you had Kobe at 6:15.
No, he's on the 16th.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, 6:12,
Bing, bang, boom.
6:12 on April 2nd.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
How are you with our engineer?
We think we've addressed all the technical issues, and it's just come down, I think it's coming down to a waiver discussion with the board.
Well, it's coming down to a few issues, such as mitigation on Locust Street, such as, curbing, waivers, things like that,
Well,
sidewalks and
We've
things.
actually agreed to withdraw a lot of the waiver requests for curbing, sidewalks, all that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're
Okay.
down to
Okay.
primarily offset improvement.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, very good, thank you. So actually, things are getting done, even though you're not standing in front of us.
So that's great. Thank you, I appreciate it.
So,
Thank you.
all right,
John, just call me if you.
I will.
Okay.
Thanks, Nick.
okay. Who's our next victim?
Hutch Motorsports.
Hutch Motorsports, Route 44, site plan, public hearing. Would you like to read?
Yeah, but first of all, when you ran through the agenda before, and with Chris and Henry not here, Burke started to say something about this public hearing that he can't sit on it. So hold off a sec.
Okay.
All right, well, it's scheduled for tonight. I have to,
Oh, yeah.
I have no choice. You have to read it.
Yep.
You gotta
I have
open the
to,
hearing.
I have to open it.
And read it.
Okay.
And the reason is I represent one of the parties.
Mm-hmm.
In accordance with provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Article 13 of the Raynham zoning bylaws, the Raynham Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, March 5th, 2015, at 6:15 p.m. at Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, on application for site plan approval submitted by Richard Grady, agent, Grady Consulting LLC, Kingston, Mass., on behalf of Hutch Motorsports, Raynham, Mass., for construction of a Husqvarna dealership and motorcycle repair establishment at 1298 New State Highway, Route 44, assesses map 15, lot 157. Copy of application and plan are available for viewing at Town Clerk's Office and Planning Board Office, 558 South Main Street, during usual scheduled hours. Any person wishing to be heard or interested in this submittal should appear at the time and place designated. Raynham Planning Board, Daniel J. Andrade, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. And as Burke mentioned, I can't even discuss it or I can't even look at your plans. So we're gonna have to continue because we don't have a quorum. John, do we have correspondence between
Yeah,
our
we do.
engineer
Yeah.
and their engineer?
Yes, we do. Steve,
Without getting into specifics?
yeah, we do. We have
Is there-
an initial report from Niche Engineering, and I also
Are there
had conversations.
things on that report that can be done from now until the next meeting?
I'd have to go through the list exactly. I know that he's made some changes from my initial comments that I haven't had a chance to look at yet to verify that
All right,
everything's been
well,
addressed.
Because we can't open it up, we opened it up, but we have to continue it. But because we can't take any testimony on it or review anything, I would suggest that you take the time you can still be working on it and getting the comment letter from our engineer down as much as possible. Because even if we did open it and take discussion on it, you'd be doing the same thing. So use I can continue this for 2 weeks. Use that time to get further along. The further you get along with our engineer, the quicker our meetings will be. You'll be, like, don't feel that you're leaving not getting anything done, because you are. So
Very good.
if we can get that letter down, and his comments and his concerns down. Waivers, if it's, I know I did go through the waivers earlier. If there's any waivers that you can eliminate, that you can live with, again, the less you're asking for, the better it's gonna be for you. So,
Should we check in with the office
nope, I'm
2
gonna
weeks
give,
from now, just to make sure we're gonna have a quorum?
no, we better have a quorum in 2 weeks from now. I'm gonna put you on for April 2nd. And 6:30.
Thank you.
So this meeting is continued until April 2nd at 6:30, and do everything you can to work with engineer to get that list down, and we'll,
Yep, we'll check in with John.
Yeah, we've had good communication, we've made good progress since he submitted, so.
all right?
All right.
All
you
right.
got it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Good night.
K-Route Road, discussion, Jay. You have a plan you'd like to,
2 plans to show you. 4 sets.
state your name, please, for the record?
James Ola, 12 Colonial Drive, Mansfield, Mass. We come in,
And you are?
I'm Chris Marcaselli, 3 Ridgeview Lane, Mansfield.
Okay.
we'd come in somewhere last summer to discuss 2 options off of, we have a parcel of land off the corner of Locust and Turrell Road.
That's probably not gonna stay there, because we don't have a board, so I would, just the rattling of the paper, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the rattling of the paper would be more of a nuisance than, because it's amazing how sharp these microphones are when you're home watching this on TV, and we do have a big following. You might not think so, but we have a big following here. They love watching us, I don't know. So,
Anyway.
all right, go ahead.
We came in last summer and discussed the two options. One was a 6-lot conventional subdivision coming in off of Locust Street. The second option, which there was some discussion with regard to, was doing what we wanted to do was a cluster development off of Turrell Road. At the meeting over the summertime, there was a concern with regard to our ability to prove our 6-lot subdivision work, the conventional 6-lot subdivision, specifically is whether or not the drainage would work. So we think we've done that with, we've had our engineer, and according to him, he's done that. So moving on from that point, that we have what we believe is a conventional 6-lot subdivision coming in off of Locust Street, we would like to further discuss the cluster development or land, I forget exactly what you guys call it, but I think we get the picture, coming up off of Turrell Road, open space development, coming in off of Turrell Road. We met with John. The big advantage is that we're not building a second road 200-odd feet down the road. So we don't have 2 intersections side by side. And John felt, and we feel that's beneficial for everyone. We'd much prefer to, disturb as little as we have to disturb. So specifically going up Turrell Road's desirable for us. John said to come in and discuss with you guys the potential for some waivers and what your opinions would be regarding A, going up Turrell Road, secondarily, waiving the granite curb, potentially the sidewalks. We are proposing a complete drainage system if that's what you think is necessary. I mean, obviously, horse trading is part of the game a little bit. If for some reason you don't think a full drainage is necessary, we can obviously talk about offsetting. But we've designed it with a full drainage system, meeting, I guess, the 100-year storm criteria, your criteria. So specifically, are we good with the idea going up Terrell Road? Can we do without a sidewalk and the granite curbing going up there? And I think the third one we weren't sure on is the underground electric. There are poles that go up there. You know,
Probably feeding a house that sits out in the back.
yeah, there's electricity there. We'd like to leave it alone. One of the things is when you design the sidewalk, the poles seem to be in the sidewalk. They're shown on the, I think they're shown on the plan. So the poles seem to be sitting in the sidewalk, so that seemed like a good reason to say, well, maybe we really don't need the sidewalks sort of leading to nowhere. I'm not sure where your plans on Locust Street, we just heard sitting in the audience that there's a plan to improve Locust.
That end of Locust Street's already been done, so we're not doing anything on that end. That's already,
So there's no, yeah, we didn't want to propose, our thought is this would be sidewalks to nowhere. You were talking about an improvement on Locust Street. Obviously, if you were going to be putting sidewalks in, then we would,
well, subdivisions, sidewalks are for the subdivision. They're not for,
right.
they're for people that are in the subdivision. If I'm living on house number 6 and house number 1, have kids, it's for access within your subdivision that you're building. It's not,
Okay, well, that's something we
it's
can
not off the
discuss.
lot, you know, it's more
Right.
for safety inside the subdivision.
You can see also on the plan, we did a little something with that cul-de-sac. We sort of thought instead of having like a dead end, you know, just staying within the right-of-way, and that would be some sort of an easement, you know, to be determined with the board, an easement kind of thing, that if it ever got, that portion ever got accepted by the town, the lot would work without that land. So that's, you know, we're trying to be proactive in that regard, and trying to make it safe and give buses places to turn around, fire engines, that sort of thing, so it's not a dead
All
end.
right, so my question, I think this came up before, was, and I might even, if I remember correctly, I might have even
I think I know where you're going.
asked you to tell us why this will be, we can consider this a cluster development when you showed us on plan number 1 that, yes, you can do a conventional subdivision using this road. So plan number 1 shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots with a drainage lot. But they have to build a road. So for cluster development, basically, you're coming in asking for 100-foot frontage. And basically, what that does is that shortens up your road, in theory. That's why the cluster development's in having to go. Tape 2?
Yep.
So that is the legal side, I guess, description of how you can get the cluster development, where this here, they have the road showing 6 lots, but they're not utilizing that road, they're utilizing an existing Terra road. Now, I'm sure, did that come up?
Yeah, but there was, I think I took it a little bit differently. When I walked out, you were asking the question, can you do it? Can you legally approve a cluster development off of Terrell Road? And we did do a little bit of research on
With
that.
the ancient way.
And what we found was that, well, you really have 2 choices. There's only two pots that we go in. We go in the A&R pot, where you can say, okay, I will allow you Form As on the road. We didn't even consider that as an option, given the condition of Terrell Road. So once it is not an A&R, then it falls under subdivision control. And then under the subdivision control, you can do the cluster development. That was the research that we came
Yeah,
up
but
with.
you're not on the same road.
Right.
You're using your calculations to come up with your number of lots by drawing a road on a plan. You're using your calculations by creating a road on a plan. You're coming up with 6 lots. Okay? You're not using that road to do the cluster. Now you're using an existing way with improvements.
With improvements in the part that makes it.
But basically, what you're doing is you're making improvements, which we would be requiring under an A&R plan anyway, to get the amount of lots, even if it was Farm A. If you came in front of us, and I think we said that last time, you come in front of us for Taylor Road, we're gonna require improvements on Taylor Road. So you're still improving Taylor Road, but now you're asking for a cluster on Taylor Road.
Because we're using more, the other option is to go back and build the other road. Then you have the two roads side by side. Unless there's something, I don't know what would preclude
Do you
you from.
understand what I'm saying, Burke?
I know what you're saying.
Okay.
The length of road actually on both.
So if we can, is there, so is that,
Well, I think it's a benefit to the town to not put another road in.
Correct.
no question, I like this, but is this the intent of a cluster development? Because if it's not, then basically we're down to an A&R plan
Well,
showing Farm A lots
I
on
think
Taylor Road.
I think it is
It is.
what we are looking for. It's better for the town. But the object is not to let them save a lot of money in their road building. It's to benefit the town by requiring less impervious material and whatever other benefits we can come up with for the town.
Preserving
So
open
we need to
space.
talk about that some more.
I think part of the issue with Terrell Road is the actual width of the right-of-way that's down there, or the ancient way as it's being described as. I think,
It's about a 30-foot right away, I
it's
think.
about a 30-foot right-of-way, which is obviously a lot less than when typically you would get a 50-foot right-of-way. So there's
Yeah,
only
but
so
that's,
many
but
improvements.
that's, 30 feet is a lot bigger than a lot of old ways. I think Taylor Road is
I think he's
easily,
proposing a
think it's-
normal width of pavement.
I
than
think
right
it's
now.
easily
What are there
obtainable.
for houses on the other side of Terrell Road? And is there a house,
Is there a house?
do the Catarinos have a house?
There's one just past our way, correct?
Yeah, there's one there.
Yes.
Yeah, so is
Okay.
there houses over here, Chris?
There's a house right here that would be facing, it's a Locust Street address. There is some.
There is some house
you did have-
lots. There's
You had
house-
some people come in before you,
Right, we only gave them one
one house.
lot,
Right.
and
And then
they,
on the other side of Terrell, there's the Whitaker House, which he made improvements. He has a dirt road, essentially brought the sewer and the water up that way.
Where is Whitaker?
He's on the other side of Terrell Road from Deer Hollow, coming in through Deer Hollow, that subdivision. He
So he's
extending
down,
that.
he's down there a ways.
yeah,
Oh, he's down there.
he's past Bamilla.
I mean,
coming up the
there's
other road.
quite a bit of land between Whitaker and here, so
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of our idea, we're talking to John, was eventually that this road is probably gonna happen.
Oh, I think so, and I've been saying for 25 years, it'd be nice if the town put the road in and we had it done rather than going 200 feet at a time.
Right.
But,
And I think that's what we've got, we looked at it like, well, at least we're gonna handle the drainage on that end of the road that
I
we're
think we're
building.
proposing closer to 600 or 700 feet of road,
mhm.
being completed, so the 200 foot is out the window,
So Dan, what you're wondering is because the two options are a little bit different, one involves a road here, the other one goes off a different road, does that meet the criteria that would make it eligible for a cluster? Is that what you're wondering?
Well, isn't that, if we're drawing a road on a piece of paper, and we're coming up with a number of lots based on that road,
Right.
and you have to prove you can build it, okay, build it on that road that you're creating.
Right.
So now I wanna do a cluster, so I proved I can do 6 lots on that road. Okay, now you do a cluster. Well, cluster basically is you're taking that road that you just proved you can do 6 lots on, and you are reducing those down to 100-foot frontage. Still with 6 lots. So,
But we changed the road. People moved the road and they,
no, but this is 2 roads. These are 2 completely
Well,
separate
but
roads.
if the goal,
Let me, give us a minute. that road becomes shorter. You don't relocate the road though.
I disagree. You can relocate the road in doing it's the piece of land to me. It's not that you start the road at a certain location and you can't move it. I think you can move the roads completely.
Once you're gonna change the whole layout of the development, you might want a whole different layout of roads.
That's,
I think it's more the land than the road.
But the idea,
I'm not sure you're,
but the idea of a subdivision is that you're constructing a new roadway. But if he's doing something off an existing road, does that kick it to the A&R? That's the thing.
Well, if you wanted, so are you saying you can't do a cluster on North Main Street? If you've got a piece of land, and instead of running the lots however deep, you run them half that, and shrink them down, and leave a big open space, you can't do that with a cluster? You have to put in a new road? I don't think so.
Weren't we doing something similar at the corner of King
it's not
Philip
the
and
idea,
South Main?
your calculations,
With,
what you are using for your calculations is what I'm getting at.
Well, if I've got
No different than
I've got 1,000 feet of roadway on North Main Street and 20 acres, 30 acres, whatever. I can't reduce down the lot sizes and leave a bunch of open space?
But if it's on
On an
existing,
existing way, no.
that would be
No.
an A&R, because it's on an existing way with frontage on a public road.
It's not an A&R anymore when you don't conform to zoning, it's a cluster development.
Well, that's, you just jumped in spots. You just jumped over part of the law. I mean, it's, you skipped when you should have jumped. I don't think that's, again, they do have the right to build on Tay-Rock Road.
Yeah.
Under the law, and I spent a week and a half on the beach reading bylaws, believe it or not. They sound odd, but I had a good time. And I read a lot on the A&R, and I read a lot of court decisions on the A&Rs.
Uh-huh.
And it's amazing that we have, everything that we've done in the past on these so-called existing ways has been correct.
Sometimes you get lucky.
Well, everything we've done on these that have been correct, at least according to all of the court readings that I read, we do have the right, they have the right to build on it. They have the right to build on Taylor Road.
Yep.
No questions about it. Because if they appeal, if we say no, they appeal, then they'll win.
Yep.
But we have the right to ask them for improvements, to make that accessible to today's, up to today's standards, As long as we make that accessible for, they would have to meet the 150-foot frontage. Another part that we've done in the past is whenever somebody was going to improve an existing way, we would make them improve it all the way up to the end of their property line. And that's another court case that if they're building up to that point, that's where it goes to. It doesn't go to the first 10 feet of their property line, it goes to the end of the property. Because the legally, access is the frontage. If you're saying you have 150 feet, you need access on that 150 feet. Or else you can't claim you have 150 feet. So at least that's what I've read. So they have the right to do that. I just don't know how we can create a road over here, come up with 6 lots, and then all of a sudden wipe that out and say, I'm gonna go over here and do the 6. So, I'm just not,
Because if he does that, they become A&R lots, but he's asking for the
Which-
cluster dimensions along Taylor Road, so.
So I don't, and again, I'm asking, I don't know. I don't know He has,
Well,
he
I
has,
guess-
he has the right to build on lots that require 150-foot frontage. He has that right, he's not creating that. So now you draw a line and you show, I'm gonna come up with a number of lots on an artificial road, and I'm gonna move my development over to this road
That already exists.
that already exists. So, and again,
I'll go read our cluster bylaw, but I don't think it says anything about you have to build a new road, and you can't use an existing road.
then I would
And as
be.
a practical matter, I just can't see somebody putting a road in 150 feet from where we already have a road
I
that
agree
we're trying to
100%,
improve.
and again, I agree 100%. I just want to make sure that legally, what we're doing can be done. That's my concern.
Okay, let's all go home and read our cluster
Before we
bylaw.
start taking it to the next, because if not, then he will either have to build this whole road for 6 lots, or come over and ask for less improvements for 150-foot frontage. And I think that's, without looking back at the minutes, I think that's one of the concerns I had last time about, give us, give us the reason why it can be done. So, you're gonna give us the reason, because I'm gonna look at you and say, well, Kirk said so.
Yeah, I know.
So with that said, yes, sir.
So our choice, as you're laying it out, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, but according to your choice, we'd have no alternative but to go and build the road next door for the 6 lots, because the cost of doing the 2 roads is very similar. Sewer, water, all the same. So why would we, in the length, as you pointed out, we're building it all the way to the end. The drainage system is exactly the same. It's actually more expensive off of Terrell Road because we're going further to it. So as a
But
build.
you didn't hear what I said. I like doing this, I think it's a more practical way of doing it, and not having 2 roads.
You're
I
asking.
don't,
Well,
I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm asking is, do
Yeah.
we have the right to do that?
I understand.
That's all I'm,
The first thing you said, though, was, well, the reason why we do cluster developments is to reduce the length of road. That's.
you're backing down the same street. I agree with the
Okay.
concept. I am asking a question, a legal question.
All right.
Does our cluster development give the applicant the right to come up with a drawing
Right.
to show he can get X amount of lots, and basically
Move the road.
throw that out and come in on an existing way that you already have the right to build on? That's my question. And I can't answer that, and you're not answering it. And
No, I didn't-
I have a
that-
lawyer here that's not answering it.
I didn't understand that when we left last time, the question I thought was in a different light. And I did get,
I think I said the same thing last time. that
Did
I agree with Brooke.
I didn't
Why have a
understand.
road here, have a road here? Can we do it? If we can do it, great.
Okay, so let's just assume for a minute that we can do it and just talk for 2 minutes or 5 minutes about the granite curb and the sidewalks and everything else, because that plays a role in our decision-making process.
All right, so-
as to what we're gonna do. Let's assume we can do it.
Yep.
If we can't, we can't. But-
Right.
And opinions with regard to, granite curbing on that road, or sidewalks on that road, or the underground electric on that road. And just take it, and so we can have a little
I have no
feedback on
opinion
it.
at this time.
I'd like to have all of the above. And I talk about the granite curbing, but I am presuming that Terrell Road is someday gonna go all the way through down to Judson Street, that subdivision down there, and that this is actually gonna be a road that people are going to use as a cut-through, and that there are gonna be, X number of houses on it. Especially the people who are on Judson Street are gonna come out this way to take kids to the high school. I think this is gonna be a busy road.
Well, the roadway itself, we're building basically exactly to your standard.
Yep.
We weren't trying to cut any corners per se on the,
With granite curbing, and our highway superintendent likes granite curbing. I definitely want a sidewalk, and I prefer underground utilities. That's my opinion.
And this is going to be maintained and plowed by the town, because it's an existing way.
And at least in Mansfield, I know that they're getting away from wanting the granite curbing. But, you know, they're moving more towards Cape Cod, or back towards Cape Cod berm.
Well, trust me, that'll never happen to me again.
So basically, you would want granite curbing, sidewalks?
I have a little different opinion on the sidewalks, but I don't think sidewalks is gonna make or break this deal.
Well, the curb is really the bigger deal. I would have thought that you know.
I'd rather see the curbing than the sidewalk. I'd rather put the money, which, if you have vertical granite curbing, putting a sidewalk in is pretty easy.
Right, the vertical granite curb is sort of a deal killer, to be perfectly honest, from our perspective, but, you know.
You're gonna have to do it on the subdivision next door anyway.
But the lots in the subdivision are worth more money, and there's more lots. You get it, we have, one way or the other, there ends up being 2 additional lots on the subdivision.
Would you build?
It's not 6 for 6.
Would you build a smaller house?
Yes.
Really?
Well, I just think the value of the lot is different, being in a subdivision, being in the cul-de-sac location instead of being on a, which eventually is gonna be a
Straight
cut
line,
through.
throughway.
So.
I agree
I mean,
100%.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah, so I think that's,
We think there's a $25,000 to $30,000 swing on the value of
I
the
agree.
lots.
I agree
So these
100%.
6 lots are worth, call it $200,000 less when they're all built than the lots in the subdivision.
I-
Therefore, to
I
build equal road,
Yep.
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Right, and that's why I say, you know, looking at where the telephone pole location is and where the sidewalks would be, it would be a nuisance having, if you didn't do underground. Coming in from the other direction, we basically had them improve it with whatever was existing for utilities. I think they extended the utilities. But I don't think we required them doing underground, or we didn't require them doing sidewalks.
you didn't even require any pavement.
And we didn't
No
require,
pavement, no curb,
we didn't
no
require
sidewalks.
pavement. That was up to the Vermillis piece. And then the next guy came in, we did require for Vermillis to bring the water all the way up, I think it was, water and sewer.
Water, sewer, gas.
And then we said, okay, well, when we have more people who have property down here and want to access this, then we're gonna put the burden of pavement on them. Water and sewer and gases, this person who owns this property, we made him bring that down. So if this guy's, he's not gonna get a free ride, he's gotta improve to get his piece, so what's the next thing? And again, the court says, if we find access we require A, B, and C for this guy, but if A, B, and C is not enough for this guy, you can deny him. And that's, if they keep going, if more people keep going, then we're gonna require them to pave it. They might not have to do anything else than just to pave it, because everything's already there. So, again, I think I would have to run it by, and I think we should run it by Ed to get Ed's opinion, which Ed, new highway superintendent, he's had his first fun winter in Raynham, so I'm sure he's, would have an opinion.
If we go back to your 40,000-foot lots, lots 1, 2, and 3 are gonna have a road on either side of them. You think those are gonna be valuable lots? Get these 3 lots.
Well,
It's gonna get,
at this point anyway, this isn't a road.
well, it's gonna be.
Well, it may be.
Well, no, it's an existing
It's a-
way that
it's a
you
dri-
have.
It's a driveway at this point in time to one house.
Well, but, no, it's an
Well-
existing way that you have right to build on.
You
Somebody's
know,
gonna
and these
have right to
become, there
build
ends up being more lots over here. So you end up getting, we squeak this road over, right? You end up getting 3 lots out of that.
Out of this?
Yeah.
So are you buying this?
We've had discussions with them.
Oh.
We don't wanna
That
buy
has
it.
been
We
the
don't wanna
holdup,
buy
why
it. We
we
wanna
haven't
deal,
been
we
back.
wanna work over here.
What about doing this conventional, running the road to here and coming in here?
With another road?
This road here, 2, 3 lots.
We looked at that. It was just, we did, Ralph kind of looked at that, and it just didn't make sense from we were building not only 600 feet, but then another like 350-foot cul-de-sac. So
Well, but that 300-foot cul-de-sac, I'd be willing to waive a lot on that, because there's only going to be 3 houses there, and with no chance of increasing the number.
So almost like a glorified driveway coming in, I don't know what you got.
Well, you might call it that. What do you two think of that?
Did it work? Did we get the lot?
I mean, I hate wasting money building a road here. It just doesn't do the town any good, and it doesn't do the developer any good. Just no winners on that. If we run the road here and make some improvements, if you come down here, you get the 3 lots on a glorified driveway, do a lot of waving. He can spend the same amount of money. We can get what we want over here for an improvement. We don't put a lot of impervious where we don't need it. And you got 3 retreat lots that,
And then on Terra Road, those are 150-foot, 40,000 square foot lots.
yep,
Well, hold on, take it
Two
one
lots.
step further. Can it be done as a cluster? And then do you get more?
that's right.
here?
Maybe he could do a cluster down here.
No.
I don't think you can get more.
Well,
I think the
we don't know
drainage
yet
is an
if the
issue.
whole thing is a cluster, right?
No.
These won't be any more.
Can't.
Well, this one has its frontage here, so it's 2 lots.
This one has frontage, this has 5,000 feet it can give up, and this has 15,000 give up, which is way more than enough to get a roadway into here, glorified driveway roadway, to put 3 lots here, which are
In
now,
the state, if you have a 3-lot subdivision, drainage in the state's not required.
Under 4.
If you have if you do a 3-lot subdivision, you don't even have to, you don't have to file for drainage. The state does not require, DEP doesn't require drainage for a 3-lot subdivision.
well, we've got a drainage parcel here anyway. I don't know what the topo is and which way things are.
We wouldn't need that. We just have.
Flows right down to here.
Yeah, so what you're saying is there'd be no drainage required. That way we pick up a nice big chunk of land to make these nice lots.
On those 3 lots,
What about the lots on Terrell Road?
Terra Road, we would require some drainage.
It's gonna go back to the same place, because it's the only place it can go.
Well, maybe you go somewhere else.
It's gonna be the same size, because you're gonna be hitting the same amount of road. So this is gonna stay all the same.
Yeah, but where's the drainage going now? It's just
Going
running-
there.
it's all running off of that direction?
Yeah.
Sheets flows down that hill.
Yeah.
And I think that was the other question
Well-
Mr. Gallagher had. He wanted us to prove that we could do it, so we went out, we dug test pits, and we
Design the drainage.
designed the drainage for him.
I like what Burke just said, though. It makes a lot of sense.
Terrell Road pretty much up to town standard, and then
Yeah, but,
there's still a little bit of maybe wiggle room there.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how far, if you require underground, you're gonna require underground
I'm not gonna require.
utilities and all that other stuff.
I'd
If there's already existing utilities
There's
there.
existing utilities, the poles go up there.
And I almost think from now till the next time, I'm gonna take another ride out there. Because if you have these lots and you do a little subdivision over here, there's 1 lot here, plus there's another lot.
They'll come back and they're gonna
that-
want
that will come-
125.
Right, that they're gonna wanna be building on it because
Yep.
this is already, now this is being improved.
Yeah, you got no leverage anymore, they're Form As, bang, done.
So you're gonna have at least 2 more lots on that road. So, okay, so now you have a 10-lot subdivision.
But those lots are gonna get done eventually.
They
As
could- they could show up next week.
are 50 more.
Exactly.
Between this and Judson Street.
No question about it. I'm just putting it out there that,
I think this was good. I think we can work with some of the stuff that came up, we can at least try and figure out, I like your idea.
well, I like Burke's idea. I think whoever,
Yeah, wherever it came from.
wherever, I think it's, because when you do stick to 3 lots, then you don't have to, you can have a swale on the side of the road and have your water, as long as the
Yeah,
water's
the
not running
killer
out.
though is the Terrell Parks, it really needs the same drainage, if somehow.
Right, but the Terra part is the whole thing that's gonna make it work for you, because your providing adequate access to get to your 3-lot subdivision.
Well, no, the access part I have no qualms with.
Sure.
It's up soil, water, curbing, 22-foot wide, 24-foot wide, 12 inches of gravel. Well, I got no qualms with that. It's the putting in it'd be nice to not, good the additional road would be to kill the drainage system.
Well, how about putting not pavement, but oil and stone like they used to do? No, seriously.
Oil?
Whatever they do, they do
No,
hot,
yeah,
they put down the stone and,
No, we don't have a problem making it, I mean, I think from the rural setting
Whatever they
that
put
that's
down.
in there now, I mean, with Locust Street doesn't have granite curbing, I mean, we could do a nice Cape Cod berm. I'm doing this.
I wasn't saying no berm at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
I'd
suggesting.
rather see no berm, you're gonna put Cape Cod berm, that just gets ripped up.
No.
The
this one-
monolithic.
The monolithic?
Monolithic.
Yeah, it lasts forever.
You guys have better plow drivers than we do.
I think you've come along a lot further, and again, I think Burke's gonna look up the part about,
What,
We can actually,
if you can have 150-foot lots, if you can have really saleable lots and not do the 100-foot lots, and doing the 3 lots in the back like a retreat lot, financially, I think it's.
no, I'd almost
think
say
it's got-
don't waste it, let's take a little breath on even bothering with the law
Well,
and all that.
I'm thinking though,
Well,
if
that's for you, I
if the
can't.
water
No,
all drains this way,
Pardon me?
if the water all drains
Yeah.
this way, if you don't have to build this, I think the town still wants an easement here and an easement here. If this road gets developed later,
But he's
that
gonna
we can
want
put a
that- He's
manhole.
gonna want that for what?
Well, I don't,
Well, we still have three
I got 340s
40,000 square foot lots there.
Oh, there you go.
I mean,
We don't have a problem
I'm
maybe
just looking
leaving
out
it.
something for the town in the future
Sure.
that we might need.
Right.
Burn a butter there if they
Even if you-
develop that piece.
Even if you turned around, and even if you came in here and had a circle, and you kept this half over here that abutted this, and,
They all have to be
Instead-
we're talking all conventional
all
lots.
conventional.
Yeah, I think that would be a trade-off, like, so we do an A&R on the 3 lots, and then we apply for that 3-lot subdivision, so
Do we have
kind
one
of
of
do the
these that we
standards
keep?
that we did down the
No,
other
it's
end of
only,
Terrell.
in for discussion.
You don't want it?
Nope.
Not at this point. We have
Okay.
enough paper.
You wanna try for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Does that work for you guys? Give it another shot and see,
Hey, we're gonna be
if we
here.
have something good?
Burke's gonna look it up, I'm gonna read it.
Well, all I was suggesting was if we're not gonna go in a direction that requires it to be looked up unless it's just for your curiosity.
Well, no, it has.
Gives us something to
Oh,
argue about
yes,
next
you're right.
If I'm, we're gonna seriously consider
I understand what you're saying.
the 640s. Which
Okay.
means that whole discussion can be set
Then-
aside for a moment.
then-
If you wish to do it for your own, that's good.
I will,
Talk to you
only
guys.
so I'll have an answer to make you feel better. If the answer's no, you can't do it, then you'll feel a lot better when you come back.
All right, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Dan, I know she has,
Now, I didn't put you on for,
Jay,
Well,
Chris.
This wasn't a public hearing of any kind.
No, this is one of the public.
no, I know, it's only for discussion, but Maureen's gonna want,
Ask, sure.
yeah, so,
April 2nd is up.
Same day, right?
yeah, April 2nd, but why don't you call, Maureen gonna be in tomorrow or no?
Not sure yet, she left.
Next
early-
week,
she
call,
left early today,
call,
so-
yeah, she was sick, call Maureen and just have her put you on the schedule for,
Yeah, we'll talk to our engineer tomorrow and see if he can sketch something up and see where it takes us.
Yeah,
all right?
Call on Monday, probably a
All right,
safer bet.
thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Good night.
Yeah, Dan, on the next item? I'm
No,
not-
it's canceled.
Okay, I was gonna say, I didn't see the plans. Great.
Zoning amendments.
Yes, at the, hand out these. All right, the first one, I'm gonna ask the planning board. I got contacted by Colleen Bailey from the state Department of Conservation and Recreation, and FEMA is strongly encouraging towns to adopt these changes to our zoning bylaws. And as you know from previous experience with this, oh, those are basically the same thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
these are
give
all
one to Russ, yeah.
Basically the same?
No.
Yeah, they are the same
They
thing,
are
yeah.
the
I got one here.
Okay.
Is this different?
No, it's the same thing, I just made new copies today. those were the ones that went to the selectmen and everything. It's the same thing, I just redated
Work
it
off the
today.
one you got in your hand
Yeah,
I
just,
gave you.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
That one's
this,
signed.
this is language directly from the state that they're recommending we place into our bylaws, so this is not anything I came up with. Colleen Bailey contacted me, said, this is what the town needs to do to stay current with the FEMA flood maps. And as they like to joke, or they like to say at the state, basically adopt or perish. So we basically have to adopt these by a certain date, or anyone who's in the flood insurance program risks getting kicked out of the flood insurance
Now,
program.
I thought there was a lot of discussion and discrepancy on the flood maps, that they were gonna change them, or there was so many people arguing
I
and
think this is it.
complaining.
I think this is the result of that. I think after it was done, what, 3 years ago, they said, you know, they came back shortly after and said, oh, by the way, yeah, we had some discrepancies. I think this is the result of that, so they went back and looked at it.
So are we going to review the plans dated July 16 of 2015 that apparently don't exist yet?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Do they exist or don't they exist?
Well, obviously, if the date of July 16th, that date hasn't come yet.
But we're supposed to vote to approve them.
Yes, we are.
That don't sound right.
That's what we're being asked to do. They did the same thing a few years ago. Because I think July 17th is usually the date by which, it was the last time, July 17th was the
I'm
date.
not
by
voting on
which-
something that you can't even vote on. You don't have something that in front of you to vote on. I don't care what you say.
Well, we need to vote on this
This language,
so it can go to town meeting in May?
yes.
You know, we probably need to do it. I mean, if we want to get to the town meeting and he can't answer the questions as to why we have something that's post-dated, we'll take it off the town meeting, but we need to move it forward to get it on the town meeting in May.
So how are you gonna know come May?
I am sure that
Who's
these
gonna get
people
a-
in Boston are going to give John very intelligent answers.
Where's the letter? Or where's her correspondence?
I have
saying we
I have
to
an
do it?
email from her. I don't have it in front of me right now. It's on my computer.
Do you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah,
though?
no, I
mean,
understand.
she wants us to, you know, we're being asked to draw.
And I think we need to move it forward because we have
Right, 'cause
several
I-
steps to get us to the May
Because we're not
meeting.
gonna have another town meeting before July, and they did the same thing a few years ago where they basically theoretically held a gun to towns' heads and say, you need to pass this. And I remember I was in Rochester and Wareham at the time, and I said, well, is someone from the state gonna come down and explain this to town meeting? And they said, no, we don't have the staff to do that.
Well, I understand all
Yes.
of that, and I understand we don't have a lot of choice, but I would just like to know the question of how we can
Yep.
be voting in March and May on something that doesn't exist until July.
Yep.
And when's the?
A map that we supposedly have reviewed.
That's my, what's our deadline for having things on for the town meeting?
March 31st. So, 2 weeks.
We need to move it forward.
It can always be withdrawn.
Yeah, we can withdraw it at the town meeting.
All right, so we're making a motion that, for this to be put on the warrant, but we're not we're
Well,
not voting on it.
There have been, actually, the town has been in possession of draft maps for several months now that are kept down at the Conservation Commission office. So they did distribute draft maps, and I believe I attended a meeting last year, and Kevin Marrera of the Conservation Commission also attended a breakout session in Attleboro for it. And so coming out of that meeting, I tried to alert everyone I could that, yes, we have these maps. They're either gonna be in my office or Conservation Commission. If you would like to come check it out, if it affects you, please come check it out. And I haven't had anyone come to my
Well,
office.
I remember you mentioning that, but, so what you're telling us now is we do have maps.
We have draft maps. We have draft maps.
Okay, and those draft maps, if I'm correct, I remember you and I talking about the draft maps. That's where the concerns and all of everybody's was up in arms when the draft maps came out. Everybody was saying, these aren't right. And that's when all of the discussion came up. And
Okay. We have,
Because I know
you have,
I'm sorry.
you saw the letter from Randy?
no,
At its meeting on Tuesday, March 3, the Board of Selectmen voted unanimously to place the, on the annual town meeting warrant. They're referring it back to the planning board for the required public hearing.
public hearing, okay, we
So
can have a public hearing.
let's have a public hearing.
All right, let's have a public hearing. Let's do it. Can't wait.
Yep.
We're gonna public hearing, and we're gonna sit here, and we're not gonna have a final thing to,
No, but in the meantime, anybody who's listening knows enough to go to the conservation to check to see if they're in a flood zone.
you have an email from this lady from the state,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
If you could just give us some information,
I will.
because I think you hear what we're saying.
Right.
For us to vote on something, or
Recommend?
recommend,
Mm-hmm.
it's, we need something to recommend, especially if that's only a draft.
Well, I think that they're putting that date July 16th because that'll be the period when these draft maps that have been circulating will become official because, I haven't received any comments to my office since those maps came out. So these concerns that you talk about, I haven't heard any of them. So there may be concerns out there, I haven't heard them. So I can only go on what I don't know if I haven't heard anything from conservation either. So these concerns, I don't know what they would be because they haven't been voiced to me and I haven't heard anything.
So
from
you
Concom.
haven't heard, so since these maps came out
About a year ago, yeah.
that we have, there has been no,
No comments have come to my office.
Well,
at
my
all.
concern would be, well, first of all, that I didn't know about these maps, but if there's a stream, brook, pond, whatever, little ways down the street from my house, and I've never been in a flood zone, and all of a sudden, on the new map, surprise, I'm in a flood zone and need to spend $5,000 a year on insurance, I'd like to know.
Okay, so maybe I will maybe I'll send another email to everyone I can, just reminding them that these draft maps are here and that there will be a zoning bylaw amendment public hearing and that anyone who may have an issue or may think that they're affected by this should come down and review it.
yeah, I know, but who are you gonna send emails to? I mean, how you gonna you're gonna send an email to?
What I might contact the press and have them put it out in the paper.
I would.
Do a little snippet and just say, hey,
Because
these are here.
Because if not,
Yep.
you're gonna send emails to a certain amount of people that, is on your list, but.
Right,
And we have money in the account to pay for the ad, so.
right.
All right, so we're going to,
Is there a deadline that this is supposed to be approved at town meeting by?
well, it's gonna have to go, yeah, he said
Has to be
March.
one, we have a town
We have
meeting.
to,
We have to submit it we have a deadline of March 31st for inclusion on the warrant, and then we have July 17th from the state to adopt these changes.
Well, I'm presuming from the tone of Randy's letter that the Board of Selectmen have already taken care of getting it on the warrant, and it's just us to have.
I'm
up
asking
to
the
us
planning
have
board to
our-
sponsor it.
Oh, to sponsor it, no
Yes.
less.
Mhm.
Oh. He doesn't ask us to do that, he just asks us to have our public hearing.
No.
so we don't have to sponsor it tonight, we can have our public hearing and sponsor it at that time,
Yeah, you
right?
could, yeah.
Let's bring it up at the next meeting, after
Okay.
you have all the answers from Boston.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, that's fine.
Does that too late to get on the town meeting?
No, it's
They
already gone.
No,
They're
it's,
already-
I can, yeah, it's
They're
already,
already putting it on the town meeting the way it sounds. So we're gonna have our public hearing, and you'll just
Mhm.
automatically put it on the agenda for
16th.
the 16th?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a good 5 weeks before town meeting, so if there's an issue, the public hearing can also be continued. We have another meeting before town meeting.
Right.
So that's why I like to do it about a month ahead of time, so if there's an issue that comes up at that time, we have another meeting in between the public hearing and town meeting. Okay, now, the next one,
Can I just add one more
Mhm.
thing? You're gonna reach out to, I think it would be, if, for the planning board to sponsor it, I'd like to get a quick even if it's just an email back to you from Concom and, really Concom would be the only one. I mean, they must, if they've reviewed them and they're all set with them, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's done.
And at the time, Kevin Marrera took a look at him and he said, well, it really doesn't seem to affect us very acutely at all, according to him. I sat there with him and we went through the maps at I think it was at the public library in Attleboro at the time, and then following it, I talked to him about it. And, he seemed to take a look at him and say, oh, this is really no big deal. It's not gonna affect many properties at all. He didn't seem to think it would affect any residential properties.
Could you see if you could
Yeah,
get something from Conservation?
Sure.
I think that'd be perfect.
I'll get it perfect. I'll
If
reach
they're
out to
happy
Kevin.
with it, I mean, it's more there.
You know, and you know what, Dan? I may, once I talk to Kevin Marrera, I may have him contact you and kind of.
Yeah, I don't need just,
Okay.
if Conservation, I want it for all of us.
Okay.
If we're gonna be asking to sponsor something, if Conservation, I'll sponsor it if Conservation says they're happy with it.
Okay.
I don't, if they're happy. with
And
it.
I'll also get the word out there in an article anyway that anyone
Yeah,
wants.
no, I would.
Yeah, just to make
I
sure.
don't know why the selectmen can't sponsor it anyway. Well, I don't know, even know
Because we
why
have the
we
planning
need to.
board.
Because I didn't
ask
I
him.
didn't ask him to.
He wants us to.
I figured it came through my office and I work with the planning board, so I figured it would be easier if we sponsored it.
You thought wrong, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess I
You
did.
thought it was a slam dunk on a busy night? Huh?
So,
Saying,
anyway.
what the heck? Other meetings, like Christ, they throw things through like nothing, and now tonight they're
Yeah,
giving me a hard time.
that's okay.
Is this another one?
Yes, what happened was, and I talked to you about this earlier today, Dan, this is a housekeeping article. When we passed when the medical marijuana overlay district was passed, where it was located within Article 7 was actually, subsection H is actually, it's an addition to the special permitted use for the adult use district. So really, where it was approved and located in Article 7 gives it the appearance that the registered marijuana dispensary overlay district is in the same category as the adult use district. So whereas in Article 7, the special permitted uses are in alphabetical order. So once it was approved by the Attorney General and we reprinted the bylaws and we had a chance to look at it, we're like, oh, okay, this really doesn't belong here. It really needs to be moved about 4 pages into the proper alphabetical order, which would be more appropriate, because where it is now lumps it in, it makes it look like it's part of the adult use district, which is actually in the industrial zoning district at the opposite end of town. So this is a housekeeping article to clean that up, and
I saw it on the map.
So currently it's under A and it should be under R?
no, currently it's section 7.4H, which is the end of the which is the end of the section on the adult use district, which is I think it's the second item after accessory uses within Article 7, which is special permitted uses. So it goes,
And we did a separate overlay district
Right.
for this, and that's what we should have referred to, was
Right.
just that.
Right.
But I remember when we were talking about it, we were discussing the adult facility and we're industrial, and I think it just got kind of
yeah,
wrapped up
and
into each.
because that was the first idea that that was the first suggestion when I first started from the planning board, as adding it as a special permit use to the
Right.
industrial district. So this is simply moving it 4 pages over and putting it in the proper alphabetical order.
Make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for April 16th, 2015.
Would the planning board agree to sponsor this article?
Most definitely.
Only if you get a second.
I'd love to sponsor it. That motion was made and was seconded, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
To sponsor it or just to have the meeting? I think that was.
Well, we have to have the public hearing, so you
Yeah,
really have
so
to
let's-
vote to have
so
the
let's-
public
so
hearing.
let's sponsor it.
It's state law that we have to have the public hearing, so.
All right, what else you got?
And lastly, this is something that Bob Iafredi came in formally before you guys a month or 2 ago. And he's gonna be sponsoring this, so you don't have to sponsor this. I'm not asking you to. simply making you aware of it, and Bob said he would attend the public hearing on this. He came forward, he wants to revamp our bylaw, Article 6.6.9F on temporary signs. And I know that, Burke, you had a question at the time about the 180 days, 180-day time period for a temporary sign to be displayed. You thought that was maybe a little bit long, I think. And so, but he's presenting it as this is, and he will be here at the public hearing on the 16th to address any questions you may have and suggest any changes.
Will you run it by him? Just see what he thinks of the idea that people have to take in the signs every night.
Okay.
If it's really temporary as opposed to a permanent.
Well, the reason for taking them in every night, because it's temporary. It's usually not on a permanent stand, so you're sticking it in a hole, and if you don't take them in, you get a wind or something, they're gonna be down the street. So I think it's more of a.
You think?
But if-
Remember when he was in, he talked about those?
Right,
Feather shape.
right, those are the ones I'm thinking of.
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of those never come in.
But if it's a banner, like grand opening or opening soon, then that doesn't get taken in
No.
because it's attached to, it's kind of hung from the,
Just
okay.
Listen to what's
amuse me.
So anyway, I don't need a vote from the planning board, I'm just bringing this back to your attention, and there will be a public hearing on the 16th because the building commissioner will
Do
be
we need a
sponsoring this.
vote to have the public hearing?
I don't believe so because we're legally obliged to have a
Oh,
public hearing.
Make a motion.
You can vote if you want to.
I make a motion.
That we hold a public
That
hearing
we hold the public hearing.
on signs.
April 16th,
And tell the building commissioner,
be here.
thank you very much.
And I will ask him about that, about the issue of taking them in every night, so.
All right, all in
You guys-
favor? Aye.
You guys just
Aye.
love to vote on things.
I don't know, I can't remember, I think we need to vote on that.
All right, I'm going through all of our papers that we have here, and we had public meetings that we did not have. And there's an awful lot of paperwork here.
Taking it all home to read it.
Okay, I was gonna ask to turn them in some more, he doesn't have to reprint everything for the next time, but if you wanna take it home and read it, go right ahead. I'm demanding you take them home and read them for the next.
I've got a note to read my cluster bylaw too.
Oh, there you go. So just so you two know, we do have 101,000, 102,000 for Locust Street that we've accumulated over the years.
There are no
So,
sidewalks on Locust Street. I think it would be nice if lot subdivision that we had sidewalks that ran all the way to the school. Be very nice.
right, there's
Because of Pleasant Street, I think. I
a,
don't know.
over that, I'm not sure. I know the bridge has.
Bridge has, but yeah.
I'm gonna take a ride by,
Yeah.
and I was by there. But I think 70 lots, I agree. I think, kids can come out, walk, and go over the bridge now. They're at the school.
Yep. I
Or the
agree.
ball field, the
And
big
the
of
ball
ball.
fields.
Football, playing
Absolutely.
basketball, the whole, so I think that's,
Make a motion, we waive the reading and approve the minutes of February 5, 2015.
all in favor? Aye. Russ, did you sign invoices? Did we send those down already?
I think so. I slid them this way.
All right, I'll
I
find
think
them.
I gave them back to June.
The only correspondence we had was from Randy, and that's it. Are you here for,
I was wondering if there was anything new regarding the 138 overlay.
Route 138 overlay? We haven't, since the last time that you were here, we have not had public, we haven't had any discussions on it. We haven't, and the reason why we didn't put it on tonight was because we had a busy meeting. It just would have been too long. Did we have, yeah, because
Yeah,
we haven't had two meetings
We
since
s-
then.
We started to discuss it, and I presented the information on the lots, what Russ brought up with the smaller lots and then the deeper lots. And then the board asked me to also draw in what the zoning district boundaries.
Right.
But we haven't had discussion since, because I think what you said is,
2 meetings.
we're gonna discuss it on meetings where we have a light agenda, and the planning board, this is the first time the planning board has met in a while because of a lack of quorum and a snowstorm, so we didn't put it on tonight because obviously it was a very long agenda tonight.
I think it was on the canceled meeting agenda.
I think it was, yes. Yeah, it was supposed to be.
Forward.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you were gonna prepare a sketch or a map.
Yeah, and I do have that information, and the next time it's on the agenda, that information will be presented to the board.
Yeah, now, did we do the map showing the different zones?
Yes, I have them in my office.
Okay.
I haven't obviously presented them because it hasn't come up. I believe the meeting he's talking about, the one in February, I was on vacation that week.
Right.
So I had them ready to go, and I gave them to Maureen, but that meeting never happened because there was a lack of quorum, so that information was never given to the board.
Right, okay. All right, so I'm sure that we'll probably have that come up at the next meeting. You can always call down, call to the planning office on the Thursday and ask, I'm sure Maureen could email or fax you the agenda for that, for that meeting.
The agenda closes at the end of the day, Tuesday, 48 hours before.
Yes. Yes.
The agenda is also posted online.
Yeah, it is.
So you go into the town website, you go into the calendar, you'll see the planning board meeting listed there, and if you tap on it, you get the agenda. So I printed out tonight.
Yeah, I saw that, but I saw zoning change discussion, and I.
And yeah, and I probably should have asked you, because I figured you were probably here for something, not running for planning board, because I don't think you're a Raynham resident, so. All right, well, I hope we entertained you this evening.
Well,
It was cheaper than going to the movies.
absolutely.
So with that said, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything?
Nothing.
Russ? Nothing? Making a motion to adjourn? All in favor to adjourn? Aye. Very good, thank you.